how government should have conducted itself.
How should the government have conducted while bringing in such crucial laws? In 1991, PM Narasimha Rao consciously slowed down the liberalization reforms at the risk of being labelled as too slow in decision making. He was widely condemned that he is too slow in decision making back in those days.
No power on earth can stop an idea whose time has come. The emergence of India as a major economic power in the world happens to be one such idea. India is now wide awake. We shall prevail. We shall overcome. These words were spoken during the 1991 budget presentation by then Finance Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh and ushered in a new age for India.
मैं PV Narasimha Rao
This budget was presented barely a month after Congress, with Sri Narasimha Rao as Prime Minister, had taken back the reins of the country and was tasked with recuperating a devastated economy.
But it was quite consciously being done by Mr. Rao himself. As he wanted wider consensus to build, he wanted the mood of the nation to be set. So he delayed his decision until the balance of payments issue reached a tipping point, after which the nation was prepared and anticipated the reforms sooner than later. Hence, when reforms were actualized, there were hardly any opposition, since it was seen as an eventuality without which the nation would plunge into a crisis situation. But the reality was that Rao's government has brought in reforms above and beyond what the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, has mandated. So it was pretty evident that these reforms were brought in due to the strong government's conviction rather than because of a reason why, because of IMF being a reason. The administration was so careful in handling the entire events that it gave a choice to all the bureaucrats who would be involved in implementing these reform plans. These bureaucrats were given a choice that they could move out to other departments if their ideology or conviction doesn't support privatization or liberalization. Rao himself preferred to stay away from it and leave everything on Manmohan Singh, his finance minister then, to avoid any politicization of the cause or the initiative. With the PM staying aloof, it looked like the entire exercise was left to the experts and was apolitical. So hence it was not condemned or politicized. He brought in the subject matter expert Manmohan Singh to do the job for him and is entrusted upon him full trust and confidence while shielding him from political accusations. Rao back then ran a coalition government which was very shaky, close to being called as a lame duck government. Yet he was able to bring about such huge reforms as the key was to bring in consensus and not to rock the political system. So he pushed everything very gradually with utmost care. And when it was done, he never claimed a victory because he didn't want any politicization of these reforms. Now when we compare how Rao's government conducted itself and how the current government conducted itself while rolling out these reforms, there is a sharp contrast, right? And that contrast made all the difference. Maybe their brute majority in the parliament kind of masked their understanding of the situation and has filled them up with this wrong sense of entitlement. An entitlement for tabling and passing any law as and when they wish without creating any support or consensus or without any discussion. But the farmers have now shown that in this democracy, it's people who are paramount, and it's people who would prevail eventually. Thank you.